Well, good morning, everyone. I will now call to order the October 30th, 2025 Clackamas County Board of Commissioners Business Meeting. County Administrator Gary Schmidt is out of the office. County Operating Officer Nancy Bush thank you for joining us, and would you please call the roll for us?
Yes. First, introducing staff, we have Scott Seco here from County Council, and Andrew Jiraki is our clerk to the board. So Ben West is also on his way in. Commissioner Schrader.
Here.
Commissioner Helm.
Here.
Commissioner Savas.
Present.
And Chair Roberts.
Here. All right. Thank you. I would ask you to stand. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So first thing up is public communication. Testimony is limited to 3 minutes per person. I'd ask your comments to be respectful and courteous. As a reminder, you can also email submissions for public communication at bcc@clackamas.us. They will be accepted as a part of the public record. I will now take in-person testimony first, and I will ask our clerk to please moderate the in-person and then the virtual testimony for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a reminder that if you are attending this meeting in person today and wish to comment during general public communication and not about any specific other item that will receive its own public hearing today, to please fill out a blue card and deposit it in the box found by the center doors. First and only card I've received so far, Mr. Paul Edgar. Please come forward, introduce yourself, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Is it alive? Okay.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Good morning. Paul Edgar. I came to you this morning not knowing that the governor had declared an emergency with SNAP. But I sent an email to you last night looking at it as a member of your Community Action Board, which I'm honored to participate to try to help others. The issue of SNAP right now, not having the funding for people in need. Clackamas County is unique in the percentages of the number of people in need. It's right around 50%. And SNAP is a critical component of making sure many families have food on the table in this time of stress. And I'm particularly concerned about the young children and the families that we have identified under our studies that might be harmed at this time. And I'm just hopeful that the county could declare an emergency itself to be able to reach in and help mitigate the best way you effectively can this emergency to make sure our residents of the county have food that's needed, and particularly those people in need. Thank you for this consideration.
Thank you for coming today.
Thank you. This is a final call if you're attending this meeting in person and wish to comment during general public communication to please fill out a blue card and deposit in the box by the center doors. Mr. Chair, seeing no other members of the public physically present who wish to comment, I'll now, with your assent, move to those attending virtually. If you're attending this meeting virtually and would like to comment during general public communication, this is your opportunity to please raise your hand, and I will call on you in the order that I see. Mr. Cook. Mr. Cook, you'll have 3 minutes.
Well, thank you, Andrew, and appreciate your good work. Good morning, Chair Roberts, Commissioners, Ms. Bush, and staff. With the Baseball World Series coming to an end shortly, thought we'd let Ladd Hill Neighborhood Association throw out the Volunteer of the Month ceremonial first pitch. On the mound from Ladd Hill is Roxanne Stark, who has consistently managed and supported the venues of all our meetings and events. covering all the bases so that our meetings and events are welcoming, efficient, and hit out of the park. We can't do the work without her. So thank you, Roxanne. Next up is the Beaver Creek double play threat of Patrick Whitmore and Barbara Brook, who is the owner and the manager of the Beaver Creek Saloon, always supporting the community with fundraising events, Citizens Challenge, and disaster relief efforts. A truly gifted double play duo. Next at bat, dated hitter, one that you all know and has been one of Clackamas County's biggest hitters over the last few decades, is Kenny Cernak. Kenny played multiple positions over the years, getting his start as a AAA Beaver Creek Board of Director, and on to numerous years is on and off of the Clackamas County Coordinating Committee, CPO and Hamlet All-Star Rep, also currently on the C4 Executive Board, and of course brings his gold glove to the County Budget Committee, which he chaired last year. Hats off to Kenny for being one of our leading home run hitters. And now for the closer, coming out of the bullpen is Stafford Hamlet's Bill Martin. Has the longest hitting streak as chair, a wonderful lead by example kind of guy, always ready to step up to the plate and tackle issues with an open mind, and works hard with his teammates to find the best answers for all. Bill is still on numerous Hamlet committees, one of the Hamlet's go-to guys when things need clarification, another one of Clackamas County's outstanding volunteers. His coaching of our younger Hamlet and CPO players is greatly appreciated, a future Hall of Famer. So thanks for your attention, as the song goes, for it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, I'm out, celebrating Clackamas County's Hamlet and CPO Volunteers of the Month.
Thank you.
Love his cleverness.
I love it.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
We needed that, Rick.
Thank you, Mr. Cook.
That's lightened my day.
If there's anyone else attending virtually who would like to comment, this is your opportunity to please raise your hand. Mr. Chair, I see no other members of the public physically or virtually present who wish to comment today during general public communication.
All right, before we go on, I know Commissioner Savis has a comment.
Yeah, to my friend, Mr. Cook, thank you for your pitch. I don't really think you're at bat, my friend. I think you're a great pitcher. I just want to know, you put that in the category of a fastball, a dropping ball, curveball. I don't think it's a curveball, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on that at the next meeting. Thanks, Rick.
And before we move on, I also wanted to give a shout out to Mr. Whitmore, who I've known for years and has continued to step up year after year to help in many ways. So thank you for taking the time to recognize Patrick Whitmore. I appreciate that. So with that being said, if there's no other, we'll move on and close public communication. I'll recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the Housing Authority Board. And Nancy, what's on our agenda for that?
Yes, thank you. So you are now sitting as the Housing Authority Board, and I believe we have Ann Leister with us today. Commissioner Leister, are you here today?
Yes, I am. Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, first up for this, we have the Housing Authority consent agenda. And Clerk, would you please read the consent agenda?
Consent agenda for the Housing Authority. Item A, approval of an amendment to a revenue intergovernmental agreement with Metro for the Affordable Housing Bond Program. Amendment value is $5,825,824 for 4 years. Total agreement value is $129,060,191 for 10 years. Funding is through Metro. No county general funds are involved. Mr. Chair, that concludes the Housing Authority consent agenda.
And colleagues, do you wish to remove or any item? Seeing none. May I have a motion?
I move we approve the Housing Authority consent agenda.
Second.
All right. And Commissioner Lingstrom has moved to approve the Housing Authority consent agenda. Commissioner Schrader has seconded that. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Clerk, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner Helm.
Aye.
Commissioner Savis.
Aye.
Commissioner Leenstra.
Aye.
Mr. Chair,
Aye.
motion passes 6-0, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. I will now adjourn as the Housing Authority of Clackamas County and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners. And Nancy, what is next?
Yeah, thank you. So thank you, Commissioner Leister, as well.
You're welcome.
So next up is the board discussion item, which is the adoption of a resolution declaring a local state of emergency and declaring emergency measures to respond to food scarcity caused by suspension of federal supplemental nutrition assistance program, which is also known as SNAP. So Commissioners, this item was discussed on Tuesday and was requested to be brought back today as a discussion item. Since that time, there have been a lot of new developments, and some of them just literally overnight. Governor Kotek has declared a statewide food emergency in Oregon in advance of the SNAP shutdown and is directing $5 million to Oregon's statewide food bank network. At this point, we do not know yet how those dollars will be distributed or how much funding will be coming directly here to Clackamas County. Additionally, we're learning more potential impacts to other programs such as WIC. That situation does continue to evolve rapidly. To add to this, we do have Mary Rumbaugh here today, who's the Director of Health, Housing, and Human Services, so she can answer any questions as well as some of the other items that might be coming up. With that, I'm going to turn this over for the discussion to County Counsel Scott Seco.
Thank you, Administrator Bush. Chair and Commissioners, I was asked to draft an emergency declaration to address the loss, the suspension of these federal SNAP benefits. I have done so. You have that now for your consideration. Just by way of a brief overview, that authority to declare an emergency is invested in this board pursuant to ORS Chapter 401 and our own county code, Chapter 6.03. In order to meet the definition of an emergency, there needs to be a threat of loss of life, injury to persons, human suffering, and significant financial loss, or significant financial loss. And so certainly these loss of benefits impacting people's ability to get food and other basic human needs would meet that definition if this board is inclined to go that route. This declaration that's drafted, if it's adopted, what it will primarily do is allow this board to act quickly and nimbly to respond to needs in the community. The specific options for this board under their emergency powers include authorizing emergency procurement of goods and services. So this would be to essentially shorten some of the other more formal procurement processes. It would allow you to enter into mutual aid agreements with other government bodies to ensure that basic needs are met. It would allow you to redirect funds for emergency use, and it would allow you to take other measures that are immediately necessary for the protection of life or property. The board order, this declaration rather, does not immediately obligate this board to do anything. It simply gives you the opportunity to act quickly as decisions are made and as actions become needed. So with that, I'm of course happy to answer any questions, and otherwise I'll await your decision or any further direction.
All right. I see a couple folks, and I also want to make sure that we have an opportunity to have Mary come forward too, to answer some additional questions. I might start with Commissioner Savas as you're coming up here, though.
Yeah, it's great that Mary is coming up. We spoke yesterday morning already. Feels like a week ago. Maybe it was Tuesday morning. No, what?
No, it was yesterday morning.
So many, it's been moving so fast, this topic, and I appreciate, Commissioner West, bringing this forward on Tuesday. I think we're all on the same page. This is really about how we, Mr. Edgar's comments, so I've been using the word as well, the word effectively, make sure we distribute that and also prioritize. My concern typically is always about the people that are in the most need, and I think of kids, women and children, and so forth, and I do know that, sometimes when you go to a food bank, you get what you get, you don't get what you need per se. Things like formula and different, it's not always easy. Not all kids can take, babies can take or use the same formula. So what's out there in the food banks, we have no idea. And the way SNAP works, it was early pointed out to me last week that there's no way for us to tap into the SNAP network to make sure that we are augmenting that funding. That's something that has to really be done at the state level in cooperation with the federal government. So I'm grateful that the governor, allocated $5 million for the food bank system, but it's not what the other states are doing as far as tapping in to the SNAP benefits to make sure they directly, effectively get that. So I think we need to make sure that whatever we do is effective, and I think that the biggest charge right now with this late-breaking news is that we might be charged, or if the governor divvies that $5 million out to each of the I don't know if she'll do it by county, but we got to establish a network how those funds are distributed. So I see a huge workload ahead of us, but I really wanted to have Mary, appreciated your email this morning to kind of cover the conversation we had. If you could expand on that, if indeed we can't direct this to SNAP, can we direct it in ways that can get the most people in need and crisis? And I would say the kids aren't necessarily in crisis, but if they're hungry and not getting the right food, it is a crisis, right?
Correct.
So that's all I have. I want to make sure that Mary can touch on that and that we can actually maybe adjust the language a little bit so we got flexibility and give staff the time to coordinate on how we implement this effectively.
Yeah, Mary, I think it's now time to turn to you and some of the things that you brought forward that are so critical for service delivery in our county, and want to thank you for all that effort in putting that long email together. So I think it's better probably if you go ahead and talk about it and let us know the impact and some other concerns you have.
Sure, thank you. I'm happy to be here. So Mary Rumbaugh, Director of Health, Housing, and Human Services. And of course, thank you to my amazing staff who always do their due diligence to make sure that I look educated when I'm presenting to you all. So yeah, as Commissioner Savas noted, as we were talking yesterday in our regular check-in, and we were talking about the SNAP benefits and the impacts, I would have been remiss to not also mention that the federal government and SNAP is actually part, WIC, so the Women, Infants, and Children's Program, those benefits are tied, and so the impacts are being felt with the federal government shutdown. What I would first say about our opportunity to think about this emergency declaration and sort of whether we take action or just know that we could take action is I think it is important for us to understand what the end user also needs. So as Commissioner Savas is sort of indicating, many people on SNAP, they don't shop at food banks. They go to a grocery store, right? And they're able to choose within the amount of money they have available the food and the need that they have for their family. So I think understanding, I think this emergency order from the governor, what will that look like, gives us a little bit of opportunity to also make sure that we understand if in fact the distribution is going to come where we have sort of a say to it, sort of how best to meet the end user's need. Then regarding WIC, Women, Infants, and Children's Program, that we do administer through pass-through dollars, so federal dollars pass through to the state, we are in a crisis. And so luckily the state has been able to identify funds for WIC to stay open through November, but we don't have enough funds until really our funds for being able to provide that sort of $100 per month per family stipend, for lack of a better term, and then formula for families, which is very expensive, often about $40 a can. Some families are eligible for up to 10 cans of formula per month. And as we had indicated in our email, the challenge is when those resources become scarce, then families make hard decisions, such as watering down formula, skipping meals, not feeding themselves as adults to make sure that they can take care of their families. I don't have the answer per se on how we need to solve for this, but I felt like it was really important as you are looking at, are we coordinating around resources? Are we really doing a call to action to this community and really encouraging folks to think about, can you dig deep in your own pockets to donate to, however we choose to communicate the where. So really, I don't know that I have, Chair Roberts, all the answers today, but I would have been remiss to not bring up the fact that really who will be impacted or who is currently impacted is going to be our young, our parents and our infants and children.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Schrader.
Yeah, Mary, so now we know SNAP, WIC. Do you have any information on what's happening with Head Start? Because I'm hearing that there's been some issues.
I don't have any of that, but I can certainly follow up on that.
Yeah, because I know they're very important in the Clackamas County. I think it's the Children's Commission is the nonprofit that does that. They feed over 600 kids a day with the services they provide. And I was on a workforce meeting this morning, and they asked me about, well, here's what's happening with Head Start. And I thought, I don't know the answer to that, so I'm glad.
Yeah, no, I don't
I'm
have
sure
that either.
something Not good. And the other thing I'm wondering, colleagues, so this is specifically to SNAP. Should we broaden it to include these other programs or just stick with SNAP for now? I mean, essentially, all of this is putting us into a state of emergency. SNAP, WIC, Head Start, all those things that keep people secure and fed and housed.
So maybe,
I don't know if we want to wordsmith or not. I'm fine if we don't. I'm just saying that this seems going to be a broader, issue. And I don't know if Mr. Chico has an opinion on that, but.
turn to council on this.
Absolutely. This board has authority to broaden the scope of that emergency. Again, so long as it meets the definition of an emergency threatening the loss of life, human suffering, things of that nature. So to the extent this board is inclined to broaden that to the loss of other federal benefits, either that are immediately happening or that are anticipated to happen if this government shutdown continues, that's certainly within the board's purview. I have an anticipation that this board might be interested in broadening the scope, suggested some language, and I have paper copies that I'm certainly can distribute if you're interested in reviewing that.
Before we do that, I want to go to Commissioner West.
Thank you, Chair. And Mary, thank you for that. I don't know if we have an updated resolution that does broaden the scope to WIC. I would fully support that. Or a little bit broader language, so as these things come about, we can be more nimble. You hear me say often the government closest to you impacts your life the most. We're also the most nimble. We're the closest to the citizens that we all represent. So I think we're trying to utilize that ability to be effective in this emergency. So I do support this resolution, and I just want to thank the board for working quickly and really being creative and collaborating very well together, and all bringing a different perspective to try to serve our constituents. I think we're doing that here. I think this is sobering that we're having to do this at a local level. I would urge the passing of a clean CR in Washington, D.C. This has gone on long enough, and we need to all get back to work to serving our mutual constituents. And so however many votes they need in the Senate, I think it's 60, we need a few more. So go in and vote for it. I urge our senators, Merkley and Ron Wyden, to get up on the Capitol Hill and to vote for a clean CR so that the citizens and the residents of Oregon can eat. And they can have essential services that we all need, and stop using them as political leverage. We don't use people's hunger as political leverage. It's not right. And so I ask that you please do that. I urge you to please support a clean CR so that we can maybe have these policy discussions when people have full tummies. That's what I hope for. I do want to really quickly review the state-by-state action. I do want to thank Governor Kotek for her action. I do fully support it. Governor, thank you for your leadership in this. I know that we're all concerned. And so I think some states are doing a little bit different things, but this isn't all that different than what some of the other states have stepped up and decided to do. In New Mexico, they're providing $30 million in emergency food assistance through the EBT cards to temporarily backfill those actual SNAP benefits. That's a little bit different approach. I like that approach. Oregon, we all know that Tina Kotek's doing something similar that we're trying to do here in Clackamas County, and that is actually bolster and strengthen our food banks and our food pantries, and she's doing that by spending $5 million. We have more to learn about how that's rolled out. Washington's governor is directing $2.2 million to food banks to help those affected by the SNAP cutoffs. And New York and Nevada are both those governors are seeking to direct $30 million in state funds to food assistance.
In Virginia, Governor Glenn Youngkin has announced that the resident SNAPs will receive a comparable weekly benefit. So they're full on finding the ability, and maybe in some emergency funds, to make sure that there's not really a loss there felt by Virginians. In California, Governor Newsom is fast-tracking about $80 million to food aid organizations, similar to Oregon, but they're big states, so a little bit more money. Other states like Colorado, Connecticut, Minnesota, West Virginia, and they're planning to boost funds to the food pantries too. So we're trying to be creative and nuanced here, and I, once again, thank you, Governor Kotek. I like to think that our leadership might have had some influence on moving this forward, and I do think we should still do what we can here at the local level to figure out specifically what that is, because we are the closest to the individuals that are going to be going through this. We can be more nimble than the state. I hope that whatever we do decide to do doesn't duplicate what the state's doing, but we find a way to be a little more targeted in what we're doing and effective with the funding that we do put forward. And I also hope that as community members around the holiday seasons, we get a little more generous with our neighbors, and we figure out what our neighbor needs, and we step in where the government just can't be as effective as a neighbor, and we are keeping an eye out on who lives next door to us and around us in our community, and maybe we buy an extra turkey this Thanksgiving or maybe a few diapers, and we add that to our shopping list, and we get it to our food bank. We call our food bank and ask what they need, and we step up. Maybe we volunteer a little bit, but we need to be present today for our community. And so I guess I'll circle back and just, is this resolution, with me saying all of those things, broad enough at the council to specifically address maybe future things coming down the line?
The initial drafted resolution is specific to SNAP benefits.
Okay.
There is an updated draft, if this board is inclined to consider it, that is broader and would address all suspension or loss of federal benefits.
Is this what would just flash before us now? Is that what we're?
This is the Resolution B that you have on the screen now, is that correct?
I can't quite see, I need to see.
This is the currently posted version, Commissioners. With your approval, Chair, I can bring up a digital version of the reformed version that Council is referencing.
Can we see the changed language?
It's track changes in this document. I have paper copies, and
Okay.
I believe it'll be on the screen here momentarily.
Could you distribute the paper copies too?
Absolutely.
I think we'll have them both.
We can do the take one and pass it on if you like.
Chair, I have a comment I think that we
Yes.
appropriate to just share, if I may.
Go ahead.
Yeah, while we're reviewing this, I just want to say thank you, Mary, for being up here. We didn't get a chance to cover all the issues. The other one I want to bring up when it comes to nutrition, and again, another vulnerable population, is that it really doesn't matter what age group, but especially seniors have to have really dietary needs, unique dietary needs, and sometimes those are prescribed by their nutritionist or their doctor. Ben, I'm sure you know this too. People have reactions to gluten. There's a lot of low sodium, a number of things that are really important. Again, food banks, you get what you get. The system is there. I think that we ought to, again, reinforce our messaging to the governor with a thank you, but also acknowledgement. Can you please plug this into the SNAP system? That's the most effective way of getting it to the people in need. So I still want to reinforce that we continue to do that. But I want to make sure that when we talk about how broad this is, that we make sure and give us some time or staff time to make sure they have enough broad authority to use this. And I'll read it here in a minute as soon as I stop talking. But I want to make sure, again, it's not just women and children. It's a number of things, and I think our staff know what to do. We really don't. Our staff know how to respond. So, Chair, I'll stop there for now.
Right. I want to make sure everybody's had a chance to kind of review it. So I will turn to my colleagues as to their thoughts of the Resolution B that we're talking about.
Can I ask a question about one of the red lines?
Sure.
So it says, whereas Governor Kotek has declared a 60-day food assistance emergency and has indicated that she will dedicate up to $5 million, some of which may be distributed to Clackamas County for ensuring adequate food supplies, which will in turn require the county to be able to act quickly in responding for immediate human needs. Would it make sense to add kind of what I just said, that we would work to understand where those dollars are targeted so we can augment them, or we can make them that much more specific and targeted? And I absolutely want to also say that I agree with what Commissioner Sava says. I just hope that when we triage funds like this, we're trying to get the greatest amount of benefit to the most amount of people. And sometimes specific nuances, unfortunately, are a luxury that we don't have in an emergency, but we want to get as much resources to those that need them as quickly as possible. And so I think we're really good at disaster management type work in emergencies in Clackamas County. We've been through a number of them, unfortunately, and we've learned a lot. And so how do we work through that logistics and and understanding and working with the state about what goes where and how we can be more effective? I don't know if that needs to be in the resolution, but should it be? Is that help us kind of give some direction?
And I would turn to Mr. Seco.
Yeah, I think at this point, the resolution is intended to remain broad, to give this board maximum flexibility to address the situations as they arise, because as you know, this is a rapidly evolving situation, things changing daily. So we can certainly be more specific if that's what this board is inclined to do, but again, the intention at this point is to keep it as broad as possible.
Okay, and I support this resolution and the red line changes.
So, Chair, while we're having this dialogue, Commissioner West, you shared what I was concerned about or hoping for, and that is, a continued resolution, in DC, hopefully soon. I sense from what I read this morning and learned this morning that there's some activity taking place right now because this crisis is coast to coast, right? And so I'm hopeful that indeed this takes place. So, but I'm just wondering if we need to, along with this, I'm fine as drafted, it's got the broad aspects of it, but I'm just wondering if we need to, somehow signal to the state that, can you please direct this into the system that already exists? That's the most effective way.
I agree with that. And I think our letter spoke to please backfill SNAP and find, we have a $2.9 billion rainy day fund. This is a rainy day. And we also have about $133 million available to the actual e-board right now that doesn't need full legislative action. There is some money there on the size of our state, and seeing what other states have done, such as Virginia and others, to backfill some of this. It may only need to be for a few weeks, but I think that there really is an ability to do that for the state to step in. I think we should urge that. I think that's clear to us that there are pots of money that can help us get through this time.
And I come back to what counsel, his sentiments about being broad, because I do believe that gives you the ability. And so while we might want to encourage the governor, they might have some other ways to distribute this that we aren't aware of, so that get to that population that we're talking about. So, that's where I kind of come back to this resolution that B, I call it, is really broad, and hopefully, I think it meets our goals. And then I think the next step is really also directing staff to kind of look at, hey, what is the best way for us to kind of move this forward? And I think the sentiments of all the board is to get it to the people that are in need. And so it might be a variety of ways to do that. But I think we're almost at a point. I think there's, at least I see a lot of head nods, so maybe it's a point to make a motion at this time. And Martha, do you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I was just thinking of this because, Ben, you talked really about the continuing resolution, which is the real holdup that's going on in Congress at this point. But this is another wrinkle for me because, and I don't know if I'm correct or not in saying this. So let's say they do that and we avert this crisis and things, planes, comptrollers get back to work and all these other things. One of the big sticking points, I think, was healthcare. So let's say if the resolution is put forward to get us on track again is passed, is that going to impact healthcare premiums? And are we going to actually be moving to another major emergency with people not being able to pay for healthcare? That's and I think that, I'm just trying to point out that it seems to be one rolling crisis after another, and what we're doing is trading one crisis for another. And I don't know enough about the healthcare system and how that works at the federal level, that there might be a trade-off too that we're still going to have to deal with when it comes to people not being able to afford healthcare and healthcare premiums. I mean, does anybody know? Mary, do you know?
Well, that's correct. I mean, that's one of the sticking points,
Right.
right? Is that the sort of credits under the Affordable Care Act are set to
The sticking
expire.
point, yeah.
And so folks already, because of the federal government shutdown, who were able to buy onto insurance through the ACA, now are actually seeing premiums go up significantly, healthcare premiums. So they're going to have to be in a position to either find money for that or go without healthcare insurance. So you're absolutely right, Commissioner Schrader. Putting any politics aside, the facts are that if in fact. Exactly. If in fact that occurs, where there is no resolution to figure out how to offset these premiums, then we'll be in a different this community will be in a different crisis. And then the rolling of, Medicaid changes into 2026 will then be sort of the next crisis that we will have to address. Crisis being defined loosely. I don't know exactly what that will look like. Yeah.
What will that mean for people? So if they could get this resolution passed, then there would have to be further discussions about, that is going to have an impact. And I'm not placing blame on anything. I'm just thinking that they were set, I think, originally to sunset, were they not, in the Affordable Care Act?
Correct. Sunset at the end of this year, correct.
So you could make an assertion, well, okay, everybody, we knew it was going to sunset. So if they could get through this continuing, and what do I know what Congress does? Whatever. Let's say they pass this, then they could start to work. If it sunsets, then they can start working on, okay, what do we do? I'm trying to come to a solution here without blaming anybody or anything, because all it is about helping people in the end. Then they could have a discussion, what does this mean about that piece of the continuum that we deal with to make sure people are healthy and whole. But it would be a different discussion. And maybe cooler heads would say that's the way we should go, because they might have anticipated, right? I'm just trying to think out loud. I'll never go to Congress, thank God, but that there's going to be more conversations to be had one way or the other. Okay, all right.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner West.
I think that's a continued conversation, but I would echo Democrat Senator John Fetterman that says we don't leverage hungry people to have that policy debate. And right now before us,
Exactly.
right now
agree
before us,
100%. Yep.
we need to just pass a CR and then have a serious policy discussion. They need to, not us, because we're not in Congress. They need to have that policy discussion. But that's not the looming issue. It seems like a lifetime in Congress, maybe all the way to the end of December. Maybe it is in politics, but we need to get this done so that they can have a different policy conversation. And they can work out that issue for the American people. But before us today is this resolution to get people fed.
And, they're all trying to save face, but from my standpoint, seriously, all right, do the job, figure it out. Anyway.
Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, I'm reminded that, in these times that having a dialogue between us is priceless and valuable. So Commissioner Schrader, you just brought up something that triggered a thought, and that is that the way this is worded, it certainly has the theme that it's nutrition-oriented, but I'm looking at legal counsel. In the title where it starts out in the matter of declaring a local emergency, I'm wondering if we should just actually eliminate the strikeouts because or somehow put emphasis that this is not about, because the resources aren't there and the governor's money isn't associated. The governor's money is related to food assistance, right? So therefore, looking at those dollars, I'm just wondering, it's still accurate by eliminating the strikeouts that we're responding to this emergency as a result of the suspension of federal SNAP benefits, but we are doing it, we're giving the flexibility in how we implement it. So would it be, how do we make sure that this is related to nutrition as opposed to healthcare and other broad aspects? Because again, Commissioner Schrader just made me rethink this. Is it too broad?
So as far as Commissioner Savas tried to answer your question, really, those are all excellent policy considerations for this board. But yes, this particular language is intended to be broad, to cover any loss of federal benefits, to give this board at least the ability to respond quickly. If the board prefers a more narrow approach, certainly we can wordsmith that and come up with appropriate language.
Yeah, my concern is, let's just say, if you bring up healthcare, which is not related, I mean, from a funding standpoint, not related to nutrition per se, then this money may not go to any of our intended discussions for the last 2 or 3 days. So I just want to rein it back into nutrition because the governor's money was also related to nutrition. So if we carry that theme, I want to make sure we start out with that. So would it be wrong to actually, if we just for a moment put in that the original language you had in the first version at the heading, or is that not necessary? Is it clear enough that this is broad, but broad to still on the theme of nutrition and not other things we can't afford? Because that $5 million will go nowhere essentially if we broaden it to other things.
Can I make a comment, Paul? Do you mind sharing?
Let me go to Commissioner Helm real quick.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
first.
didn't know
I'm
you
sorry.
had
No, just in relation to that, all I want to say is I think nutrition and healthcare are tied together, right? They are seriously, and I think you would ask any medical professional that they are tied together. So if we were trying to separate this, we'll probably have to have declare another state of emergency after the first of the year when the ACA Act sunsets. So we probably do need to say nutrition, but I will say that nutrition and healthcare go hand in hand.
Commissioner Schrader, go ahead.
And I just want to say right now, it's governance by chaos, right? So I would say we're making legislative intent right now that this is really, we're responding to the, nutrition piece. But do we want to have flexibility, seeing that there's going to be the domino effect, and that we, as, in my opinion, one of the most stable layers of government entities, counties are the oldest governance institutions in the United States. It seems like it's going to be our job to point out the emergency and try and bring as much stability as possible to chaotic situations because of Congress's lack of.
Well, and as it's drafted now, it actually does have an end date of December 31st, 2025. And so to Commissioner Helm's point and to Commissioner Savas's point, I think the most immediate emergency is around nutrition. What I like about the red line version and your suggestion, Commissioner Savas, would be to add back the food scarcity caused by, and just keep don't call out SNAP, just call out the federal benefits. And then to your point, Commissioner Helm, we will be back here having a conversation for January 1st, I'm sure.
That's what I
was going to.
Exactly.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, so in order to craft a motion, that amendment would be, Scott, or Counselor, or Counsel, how would that verbiage look like in the beginning there, in the matter of?
So if I understand Commissioner Savas, I think the best approach for that would simply be to add back in the language responding, let's declaring emergency measures to respond to food scarcity caused by suspension of federal benefits. So leaving SNAP stricken, but adding back in the food scarcity caused by language.
Okay. So I move to approve the resolution with the amendments discussed here today.
Second.
All right. Commissioner Savas has moved to approve the resolution with the amendments as mentioned, and it has been seconded by Commissioner Helm. And further discussion.
May I?
Yes.
So we also need in that.
I know.
Okay, you're going to get to that? Okay.
Yeah,
Because we need the resolution with the measures
yeah, so
authorized
what we
as
need
well.
to do is, and I guess that bringing it back for discussion is, as you can see, there are a number of amendments that need to be listed according to law, is my understanding. So Paul, can you see each one of those?
Yeah, and I was wondering, frankly, as I read through those, and maybe council or the administrator can help me navigate this or help us understand this. If we put flexibility back in, are these really needed?
Yes.
Okay,
This is where a lot of your authority is, actually.
so it's really all of them?
Yes, I would suggest all of them. I don't, council has changed that recommendation, but I would recommend all of them.
Okay. Then I'll reframe my motion. So Chair, I move that we approve the latest version of the resolution with the amendments discussed and shared with legal counsel, and authorize or direct emergency procurements of goods and services, or goods or services, commit to mutual aid agreements, redirect funds for emergency use, order such other measures as are found to be immediately necessary for the protection of life and/or property.
Second, again.
All right. So Commissioner Savas has moved to approve the resolution as discussed, to include the approval resolution with the following measures authorized: to direct emergency procurement of goods or services, commit to mutual aid agreements, redirect funds for emergency use, order such other measures as are found to be immediately necessary for the protection of life and/or property. It has been seconded by Commissioner Helm. And again, any further discussion? Hearing none, clerk, would you please call the poll for us on that?
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Helm,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So the next topic really having to do with this resolution is also to discuss the specific amount of funds we want to authorize for the use towards this emergency. So I want to open the floor up for discussion about that amount and seeking your input. Commissioner Savas?
Yeah, based on the conversation I had this morning, at least, again, you guys are a little bit ahead of this because you discussed on Tuesday. I don't know the exact nature of those discussions, but with some of this latest breaking news with the governor and the 5 million, we could use any kind of appropriation as perhaps a backstop, but maybe allow staff some time to navigate this and come back with a recommendation. Because I think really the work is going to be done on how we implement what's coming down to the state level. When we talk in our strategy session this morning, it was suggested by staff perhaps that we could just pause on this and figure out how to really frame this up the best. So I just want to just put that out there. And Chair, I yield back.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner West?
I'm going to agree with you because there's just too much uncertainty with how fast this is moving and where different funding is coming from. But I want us as a board to be willing to, if we need to step up for our community. I think we are. And I'm interested, maybe the governor's going to do direct allocations, let counties just go to work and do what counties do. And as service providers and boots on the ground that we are. So I'm open to that. I don't know how the motion changes or whatever, but I think we need to keep a really close eye on this and keep our finger on the pulse of what's going on. And I hope we have good communication from the governor's office today on what counties can do and what our role is. and I hope we're in conversations with our food bank network to find out exactly what they need. I know that we do have an opportunity to work directly with the grocers that we've already established before any of this came forward. I don't want to lose that opportunity, so we can get more specific items that are needed in food banks that are in high demand, and we can buy them at cost or cost plus. And so that's a savings and a stretching of the dollars that I hope we can take advantage of.
I might throw something out for discussion. It's just kind of been my experience, and Nancy can probably pipe in and address this, that sometimes things on the state level do move a little slower, and that there also is a possibility of, we need to be nimble. I mean, that's part of it is, and there could be the possibility of reimbursement if, while we're waiting for things to happen, we are able to move a lot quicker, I believe. And so that, I might reach out to Nancy and say, hey, what are your thoughts on that? Would we be better off to identify some funds, have it so that we are more nimble? Seeking your thoughts or input on that.
Yeah, thank you. You're right. I mean, we've been through many disasters, which is a little bit different than this one, right? I mean, this one is pushing money out rather than we're asking for some kind of resource to come here. So I think it's a really difficult question. I think from what I'm reading and what I saw in the paper, I think they are planning to move pretty quickly. I can't guarantee that, but it is pushing out dollars. I think the real question for us is, where are they pushing it? Are they going to give it to us? Are they going to give it to a food bank? We do not have those answers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the best answer I have for you. I mean, we could do that if the board, of course, wants to do that and kind of see what goes on.
All right, I think I have Commissioner Hellman and Commissioner West. Go ahead.
I would be in favor of approving a certain dollar amount, and we don't have to spend it, right?
Correct.
We can hold off if something happens. It's there at the ready, but it doesn't have to be spent right away, but at least it gives us a little bit of cushion.
Yeah. And I think, for example, because I think what you just said kind of gave me a thought. Going to the Oregon Food Bank is much different than going to Clackamas County specific local food banks and pantries like CSC, like Wilsonville Community Sharing, and so many of the others across the county that are also a little more community based. And I have a high level of confidence in CSC and working within our local network more than maybe outside of our network. So once again, on speaking of being as nimble as possible, our whole focus has been community, Clackamas. And so I would also support a certain dollar, maybe the dollar figure we've already talked about, just supporting that $100,000 mark, and then just being nimble and working with the state directly, but also just kind of taking care of what we can take care of locally.
Thank you. Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, I appreciate the dialogue. Again, I'm kind of going back to, what Mary presented us is that, and Nancy just said, is where we push it to, right? And I think that those timelines or when we actually have the need, the urgent need or the call is hard to know. I don't necessarily disagree with Commissioner Helm's idea about putting some money out there if needed or when needed. But I would certainly like to have staff circle back with us on Tuesday. Hopefully this is resolved by Tuesday, right? I mean, I'm kind of the eternal optimist that people in DC are going to take the actions necessary to resolve this. But I also have faith that the emergency's not, my concern is that if we're going to take limited resources and push it out, it again is how we do it most effectively. So I think staff are going to I won't say be in an untenable position, but I think we've said enough here today to give staff guidance, but I think it's the most vulnerable that I want to make sure, whether it's senior citizens or whether it is kids, our children. So I think we need to prioritize, if we do that, where those dollars are directed.
Thank you. Commissioner Schrader.
Just out of curiosity, have we got like a logistical map of where all our local food banks are in this county?
Yes, we do.
Okay. We get a
How many
copy
do we
of
have?
I don't know that off the top of my head. There's actually this fabulous app that you can go to and see, and it's just, like all of the things that people can go to for help, for even like helping fund a funeral, for example. And all of the food banks are in that particular app, and we do have that.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Can Clackamas County do a GoFundMe to the citizens? Can we do something that simple? Can we
No.
do are we able, or is there another nonprofit that we can partner with to promote something like that for the community to just give?
So I've been through this many times. We as Clackamas County cannot collect funding or, for charities or whatever. So we cannot do that. But yes, we can collaborate with others that can do that for us.
Okay.
But as a legal entity, as a government, we cannot do that.
Maybe CSC would be a great entity to
Yeah.
work with to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some, again, on the food bank system, there'll be gaps and certain needs for certain populations, right? And also be mindful that, it's, seniors maybe not be able to drive where they need to drive, right? So some of these facilities, or find it, or maybe even have the ability to get on a website, for example. So I think that everyone's got themselves accommodated to the system in place, SNAP and all these other mechanisms, and so they know how to take care of themselves and get the resources they need. So I would like to make sure that staff's got some flexibility with this, but I'd like to make sure that the money that we contribute, if we indeed contribute, goes towards those gaps that the food bank system is not going to cover. So therefore, I'll make a motion, I think consistent with what I heard you all talk about on Monday, to move to authorize $100,000 of general fund contingency for this emergency, directed to the priority of the gaps that the food bank system does not provide. If I need any fixing on that language, I think I got it out right, I'm not sure. Does that sound right?
Should it be needed? Yes.
Should it be needed?
Yes. I
I
think
think that is.
I
it's there.
think I second
What,
that.
can you, I'm sorry, can you say it again?
Yeah,
So I'm reading from the script and I'll add. So I move to authorize the amount of $100,000 of county general fund contingency to be used for this emergency, specifically directed towards gaps in which is food bank systems do not address.
Can I make, I don't know where the amendment piece is going to fall in here, the thoughts around it, but I think we're close. Can I make a comment?
Yes.
So right now it says contingency to be used for this emergency. What we have talked about, and it's a little specific, so something around to bolster the needs of local Clackamas County food banks and food pantries.
Okay.
So
well,
I should have, for a point of order, I should have asked if there was a second.
I said I think I second because I also questioned the language.
Right, so I want to go
No
back.
discussion.
So I'll withdraw my motion to make it easy.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
that'll save us all a lot of
Okay.
sweat.
Thank you.
But I do want to tease out from us, do we recognize that the food bank system is not going to have some of the critical needs for the vulnerable population with dietary restrictions or needs? We recognize that, right?
I do
So-
recognize that.
So I would like to see this focused on a priority to meet that.
Well,
Meet that
here's
need.
where I will, we agree, but I'm going to push back. I'm going to push back because in an emergency, we don't get to get so nuanced with celiac. We don't get to be so nuanced with your sodium cardiac diet. We are filling an emergency and we're triaging the best we can and getting the top, most affordable resources at the best cost directly to the ground and on the table as soon as possible. And then others are going to have to figure out how to fill that more nuanced gap. We can't be the nutritionist from the diet specifically, and nor should we be expected to in this situation. I also believe that that wouldn't be an issue if the state would also backfill some SNAP benefits too. But I don't think that that is incumbent on this board is to backfill SNAP benefits because we're not the state and the federal government. But I do think that we want to make sure that There are broad foods that the vast majority of the population can tolerate, such as russet potatoes, milk, if you're not lactose intolerant, but, basic proteins, complex carbohydrates. So there are things that the vast majority, and basic vegetables and fruit. So, and low glycemic stuff like that. We want to kind of have that more, hey, food banks, what are all of you, tell us what your top 15 needs and items are right now that you're seeing on the ground. Go directly to the grocers that we've been talking to. We'll buy these top 15 items at cost or cost plus, and we'll get it right to the food banks, and then let that network in the community get it out to the individuals. That's how I hope we play that out, and more people will be served that way.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but you're right. I don't think that we have any skill set or knowledge base to sit here at the dais and make dietary, we can't, right? That's why we're assigning that to staff to figure out our experts, right? But I'll just tell you, as a parent who raised we had to switch formulas 3 or 4 or 5 times, right? Where my kids could actually not get sick. So that's going to be specific, and I don't think the food banks should be able, for example, to have in stock everything that a grocer would have access to. So how do we make sure, and again, I think if we keep it broad enough, knowing that we want to prioritize that and let staff figure those things out, not us.
Or we send another letter to the state that says, thank you for this $5 million, but please consider doing X, Y, and Z in these situations. Maybe it's a formula situation. Maybe it is a little bit of state funding to backfill SNAP. But I don't know how we're going to do that, Commissioner. I agree with you. Yes, you are correct, but we don't have, we're one county. We don't have the mechanism to be that nuanced. And there's going to be, regardless of our intervention, there's going to be some pain points. I don't know.
Yeah. Commissioner Helm.
I was just going to make a suggestion that we read this as it's written in the script, but add, we need to leave flexibility and leave staff the flexibility to, I would just say, I move to authorize $100,000 of county general fund contingency to be used for this emergency should it be needed. And that gives.
Is that your motion right now?
That is my motion.
I second.
All right, Commissioner Helm has moved to authorize $100,000 of county general fund contingency to be used for this emergency should it be needed. It's been seconded by Commissioner West for the discussion.
I think that Scott gives staff the flexibility to do what they like.
You're okay with it?
And I think the conversation here at the dais and we had earlier, I think staff knows what to do.
Okay. Should we send another letter to the state asking for SNAP backfill?
I'm going to make that motion after, we're going to talk about that afterwards, yeah.
Yes.
So right now, we'll call for a poll.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner Helm.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Before I go to Nancy, as to our next agenda item, Paul, did you have something?
I was going to say that we sent another letter thanking the governor, explicitly thanking the governor for the $5 million, but add back that and maybe, Commissioner West, you cited some states that are doing something in a model, but look at what some of our other states are doing and try to get those directly to the SNAP, into the SNAP system for the SNAP recipients.
Is that a motion?
Well, it's not a motion. That's my thought.
Okay, I totally support that.
Okay. You want to make the motion?
Okay, I'll give a stab at it. Here we go. This is how the sausage is made public, right here on the fly. This is how it's done, so.
Write this as we're going.
Okay, I move that we send a letter to the governor's office in the state of Oregon to encourage them to backfill the SNAP benefits during this shutdown and look to other states that have done similar moves, policy moves, to help bolster the system. I think that's it. Yeah, that's my motion.
Yep. And staff can get the language in the letter to be very specific.
I think that
that's
gets
broad
it.
enough.
Oh, great.
I'll take any feedback.
Is there a second on
good. That
this?
was good.
So Andrew can read what we have, if you
Okay.
guys are okay with that. Okay.
Commissioner West has proposed the motion. I move we send a letter to the governor's office and state of Oregon to backfill SNAP benefits during the shutdown and look to other states that have done similar policies
Initiatives.
to help bolster the system.
Help bolster the food benefit system.
I wonder if inserting the word after it says state of Oregon to backfill, if we inserted the word to directly backfill.
Okay,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
yes. Put that in my motion, please. And then I'll reread it when we're done making sausage.
Directly backfill.
I can't eat sausage, but I can vote for it.
I like it with my breakfast. They have really good sausage at the Watershed down in Oregon City on Main.
Oh, they
Yeah,
do?
they make it there. Yep, and it comes out with your eggs and your potatoes. It's really good.
I think also including thanking the governor.
Did I put that? I did say that.
Okay.
So there's a question, is it possible that it could be an email rather than a letter?
Is that a thing that we do, an official email? Sure.
Yes.
Staff is advising us, Chair, that a letter has already been sent this week, so they're requesting, if possible, to do an email from
Yep.
the chair's office
And-
instead.
Yes, I'm fine with, are you fine with sending that in on behalf of the board chair? Okay.
All right.
And is there a did I thank her in this, or in the?
Well, well, just make sure that's incorporated in the letter. It doesn't
Yeah, I
need
know
to be a
letter, yeah,
motion,
I know,
but
yeah.
if it's
Do you want me to read
incorporated
this again to clarify the motion, now how we have it? Okay, my motion is that I move that we send a letter to the governor's office and the state of Oregon to directly backfill SNAP benefits during this shutdown and look to other states that have done similar policy initiatives to help bolster the food benefit system.
Second.
All right. Commissioner West has made a motion to move that we send a letter to the governor's office in the state of Oregon to directly backfill SNAP benefits during the shutdown and look to other states that have done similar policy initiatives to bolster the food benefit system. It's been seconded by Commissioner Helm. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, clerk, will you please call the poll?
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner Helm.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, Mr. Chair.
And thank you, Andrew. I will now turn to Nancy for our next agenda item.
All right. Thank you. So next up, we have a public hearing, and we have Cheryl Bell, Assistant Department Director for Transportation and Development, here to present. The public hearing is the second reading of Ordinance 03-2025 to adopt Clackamas County Code Chapter 9.04, erosion prevention and sediment control, and no county general funds are involved.
Thank you, Nancy, and thank you, Chair Roberts and Commissioners. So following board direction given on September 30, 2025 policy session and a public hearing and first reading held on October 16, we're here today for a second reading of new Chapter 9.04 to the County Code titled Erosion Prevention and Sediment Control. This chapter, if enacted, will allow the Department of Transportation and Development's Building Codes program to implement and administer a required erosion prevention and sediment control program for unincorporated areas of Clackamas County outside cities and districts. As detailed in the September 30 policy session and October 16 first reading, creation of this new chapter and the accompanying erosion control program is in response to the Federal Clean Water Act, which is implemented locally by DEQ in order to address mercury in the Willamette River Basin. If approved today, Chapter 9.04 details the thresholds of work requiring permitting, and for consistency across the region, Chapter 9.04 uses WES's planning and design manual and best management practices drawings as the guiding documents for this work. In order to implement and finalize this new required erosion prevention and sediment control program, staff respectfully recommend that the board hold this public hearing today, read the ordinance by title only, and adopt the ordinance. With that, I'm happy to answer any remaining questions on the program or support public comment.
Right. Any questions? right, hearing none. I will now open a public hearing for comments on this ordinance. Clerk, help moderate that for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a final call. If you are attending this meeting in person and wish to comment on this specific matter, to please fill out a blue card and deposit it in the box by the center doors. Mr. Chair, seeing no members of the public physically present wish to comment on this specific item, with your assent, I'll now move to those attending virtually. If you're attending this meeting virtually and wish to comment on this specific item, this is your opportunity to please raise your hand, and I will call on you in the order that I see. Mr. Chair, I see no other members of the public physically or virtually present who wish to comment on this specific matter today.
All right, thank you. Colleagues, any questions, comments? A motion?
I move we read the ordinance by title only.
A second.
And Commissioner Schrader's moved to approve the consent agenda. Commissioner West has seconded that. Any further discussion? It's not
Just to
the
clarify,
consent.
that is a
That's
error in the
ordinance.
script.
Yeah,
You may
it is.
blame your clerk, Chair, if you could just restate that the motion is to read the ordinance by title only.
Yes. So Commissioner Schrader has moved to approve the ordinance by title only. It's been seconded by Commissioner West. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner Helm,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Mr. Chair,
Aye.
motion passes 5-0, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right, clerk, will you read the ordinance now by title only for us?
Yes, Mr. Chair. The ordinance is numbered 03-2025, an ordinance adopting Clackamas County Code, Chapter 9.04, Erosion Prevention and Sediment Control.
Thank you. Any changes or amendments to this, commissioners? Seeing none, since this is the second reading of this proposed change, may I please have a motion to approve it?
I move we approve ordinance 03-2025, an ordinance adopting Clackamas County Code Chapter 9.04, erosion prevention and sediment control.
Any further discussion?
Second.
Second, thank you. Commissioner Helm has moved to approve the ordinance 03205 and an ordinance adopting Clackamas County Code, Chapter 9.04, erosion prevention and sediment control. It's been seconded by Commissioner Savas. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, would you please call the poll for us?
Commissioner West. Aye. Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner Helm.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Mr. Chair,
Aye.
motion passes 5-0, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And Nancy, what's next?
So next, Commissioners, we have the consent agenda. Clerk, would you please read the consent agenda?
Okay.
Consent agenda for the Board of County Commissioners. Item A, elected officials. 1, approval of previous business meeting minutes for the Board of County Commissioners. 2, approval of a grant agreement with the Oregon Criminal Justice Commission for the Justice Reinvestment Program. Grant value is $3,545,524 for 2 years. Funding is to the Oregon Criminal Justice Commission. No county general funds are involved. B, Finance. 1, approval of a goods and services contract with Cone for elevator upgrades at the Lake Road Healthcare Center. Contract value is $151,300 for 8 months. Funding is through Healthcare Center charges and fees. No county general funds are involved. C, Transportation Development. 1, approval of a public improvement contract with KNL Industries for the Thiessen 2 paving project. Contract value is $661,939 for 11 months. Funding is through county road funds. No county general funds are involved. D, Health, Housing, and Human Services. 1, approval of an amendment to a subrecipient agreement with Clackamas Women's Services for legal assistance to domestic violence restraining order petitioners. Amendment value is $12,369.38 for 2 years. Total agreement value is $175,707.38 for 3 years. Funding is the United States Department of Justice. No county general funds are involved. 2, Approval of an amendment to a subrecipient agreement with the Mental Health Association of Oregon for alcohol and drug addiction recovery peer-delivered services. Amendment value is $178,720.36 for 6 months. Total agreement value is $702,866.26 for 2 years. Funding is the Oregon Health Authority. No county general funds are involved. 3. Approval of an amendment to an intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Health Authority to reallocate and increase funding for mobile crisis intervention and jail diversion services. Amendment value is $299,613.44 for 6 months. Total agreement value is $22,883,644.44 for 2 years. Funding is the Oregon Health Authority. No county general funds are involved. 4. Approval of an amendment to a revenue intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Health Authority for school-based health center expenses. Amendment value is $39,486 for 1 year. Total agreement value is $5,862,659.97 for 2 years. Funding is the Oregon Health Authority. No county general funds are involved. 5. Approval of an amendment to an intergovernmental agreement with Sunrise Water Authority for the Low-Income Household Energy Assistance Program. Amendment value is $5,250 for 1 year. Total agreement value is $10,500 for 2 years. Funding is the Oregon Housing and Community Services. No county general funds are involved. Mr. Chair, that concludes the Board of County Commissioners' consent agenda.
Thank you, Andrew. Colleagues who wish to remove any item from the agenda, seeing not, may I have a motion?
I move we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
All right, Commissioner has moved to approve the consent agenda. Commissioner Schrader has seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner Helm.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Andrew. And what's next, Nancy?
Next is county administrator updates, which I do not have any today, so we'll move right into commissioner communications.
Okay, I'll start to my right, as I always do.
Thank you
Commissioner
for
Schrader.
Well, I have a few things I'd like to say today. One thing I wanted to mention, I've just gotten information from the National Association's Rural Action Caucus, and this goes for actually the rural counties as well as the urban counties, and I was going to read it. Counties are calling on the President and Congress to act swiftly and responsibly to fully reopen the federal government and restore the reliability county governments need to serve our residents effectively. NACO is seeking membership feedback on how the government shutdown is impacting county operations. Your responses will be featured on NACO's social media accounts and used for other advocacy efforts as we continue to call on our federal partners to work in a bipartisan way to keep the federal government fully operational. So, colleagues, I'd like to see if we can complete that survey and have our conversation join the over 3,000 counties in the United States of America that are calling on Congress to fully operate our government so we can continue to provide the services that we are called to do as the oldest governance structure in the United States of America. So hopefully I'll get some head nods for that, and I'll get Emily to work on it. Yes, Woody?
Can I ask a question to you,
Sure.
Commissioner? Are you asking that we send formal notification or we join in on formal
Yes,
notification?
we join in, and basically what it says here, it's a survey they would like us, to fill out. So what they're asking us to do is to let them know, and then they will feature our response on our NACO social media accounts, and they'll use it
Okay.
as part of the whole number of counties in the states to help lobby, and as one voice, rural, urban, suburban, partisan, nonpartisan across the
Perfect, yeah.
United States. So it's a pretty broad thing, and I believe that this is one of the reasons we are a member of this national organization, because people must understand that a lot of our service delivery systems are dependent on federal dollars, and when this kind of things happens, we are strangled to death, okay? And we can't afford that, because I know sometimes we get a lot of grief. Well, what are you doing over there? Well, we go there to make sure that we get the revenue streams we need. It's very pragmatic, it's very practical, and certainly after our discussion today, we can certainly, I think, add to what the impacts are with our fellows across the United States. Okay. Second thing I'd just like to mention is last night, we had the North Clackamas Park and Recreation District meeting. And prior to that, we had a tour of the park system. One of the things I want to mention, which I'll mention later, is that, here's my beetle diagram. Essentially, the emerald ash borer is an infestation in the by the Milwaukee Senior Center that is happening in the park system there. And this is serious because it will kill numerous ash trees if it's not taken care of. And right now, I believe, if I'm correct, NCPRD is working with the Department of Forestry and our NCPRD folks to actually come up with the pest control program that's happening in this park. That's going to be important for another comment I'm going to make in a little bit. The other thing I noticed, that whole park was full of children all over the place. And I recalled, again, years ago when that park wasn't like that. There was no playground. There wasn't a structure to go under anything. We didn't have a competitive ballpark that was actually could be used for tournaments. And we, both the unincorporated and the incorporated city of Milwaukee, worked together to really make that facility work. And it was a team effort at the time, and we all saw that night before we went into the meeting what a team effort can do, okay? We built it. So we get into the meeting, and one of the things that we were mentioning, all of us, was the outstanding facility that we have just opened in the unincorporated part of our Parks District, the Concord Library, the playground, 2,000 people show up, okay? And what I want to remind people, there's no, one part's a city, one part's unincorporated, but everybody uses those two parks. There's no barrier for everybody to really look at that and use it as the assets that we all share. But we're having a bit of an issue right now with how we want to move ahead with Milwaukee Bay Park. And I'm here just to clarify at least my point of view. I really want to help build that park out. We really want to do this. I don't think everybody sees that. One of the big hurdles we're heading with right now, I pulled up the song by Clash. Says, darling, you gotta let me know, should I stay or should I go? If you stay, then you are mine, and I'll be here to the end of time. So the question is this, okay? And I say this with deep respect for everybody. We have two scenarios here, okay? We have a scenario for Milwaukee Bay Park because we wanted to have the unincorporated area get their turn because they're underserved, and we did that. Now, it's their turn. And so there's two ways we can do it. We can do it as a team, okay, as NCPRD, as an unincorporated, incorporated team that has been, since my tenure here, since 2003, is been reasonably successful because we've got to make sure everybody's served. It's not about city versus unincorporated, it's about the county. So I look at it from that big umbrella. But the issue is we need to know, Milwaukee, are you going to stay or are you going to go? Because if you're going to stay, you're in line, and we have a pathway forward to finish up. And by the way, it's a beautiful park right now, but we could make it even more beautiful, and we can give more services. So if you stay, we got a pathway to it, okay? If you don't stay, we have a pathway to it. And I just want to make that clear to people right now. There's a pathway either way. We just need to know, are you going to stay or are you going to go? If you want to have your own district, let us know. We have a pathway. If you want to stay as part of the district team, we've got a pathway. But for goodness sakes, can I just be honest here? With everything we're dealing with right now, with food insecurity and all of these things that are coming at us, you wrote us a letter, and you gave us a deadline, and I'm asking you, please don't do that. It's not helpful. we don't have the time right now to continually roil this out, which to me is a very simple question. Okay, so just let us know. Either way, this commission is committed to finishing that park, and we're also committed to the unincorporated area because they're underserved. So a lot of times, I'm wondering, after all the years here, I don't know what the big beef is about. Seems pretty straightforward to me, so I just wanted to say that. And don't ask us to keep broiling this up when we have more, we want to do parks because they're a quality of life, but right now, we're in the process of trying to make sure people get fed, okay? So let's just all together get our priorities straight with this, all right? Now, I'm old, I've been here a while, I get to say what I want. So I'm just putting that out there to our friends in Milwaukee. Will you please tell us what you want, stay or go, let us know, and we'll figure it out. I don't think it's, your turn's up, okay? So just let us know. Thank you for that.
Okay. Thank you, Martha. Commissioner Savas.
Yeah. Well, Martha, I don't overall disagree with your message regarding stay or go. I think that it's more of a question to make sure we get an agreement that should a future council, right? This council can't commit one way or another, and they can't commit for future councils. Make sure that we get the language that's right, that protects the district. Last night, I think the other big thing, and it really is a big thing, maybe we didn't really talk about it as much as we could have. We certainly voted on it, and that was approving the systems plan. And the systems plan pointed out areas that are deficient. So this isn't really one park versus another park. This is really about responsibly addressing the needs across the district overall.
And may I add, being a team.
And, yeah, right,
doing it,
yeah.
That's the real issue for me.
Yeah.
We should be a team on all of this.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I won't go any deeper on that. We said a lot last night, and hopefully we work things out, but we need to be mindful that there's a lot of areas that have nothing.
Well, yeah.
And so, with that said, I want to shift to what my notes are, and that is that I'm always impressed, sometimes after our meetings, how many people watch our meetings, whether it's this meeting on Thursday or whether it's our Tuesday meetings. And Tuesday, I missed a majority of the day here, and I was in Salem. And yet, while I was in Salem, my phone started buzzing from people that just watched the meeting on certain topics that were covered. And that happens a lot when something really sparks either someone's emotions or ideas and so forth. So I want to just say that relative to our conversation today about this funding or this emergency with nutrition and the SNAP benefits, one of the comments I want to kind of address in a roundabout way, and that is that in our system, the state and the federal government funding, a lot of it comes from payroll tax. That is a primary source of resources. We don't get that at the county level. We use the property taxes that our property owners in this state or county pay, and they just all got your tax bill. So, people know really how much they're writing the checks for. Unless you rent, you don't see that property tax bill. But nonetheless, it's built into your rent. But nonetheless, those are pretty specific. And when we have emergencies and we declare an emergency, it's also required sometimes when we seek reimbursement. So if indeed the federal government steps back in, I'm hoping that any monies that, whether it's the state or whether it is the county or counties, that we will get reimbursement. So our scarce property tax dollars can then be redirected, and we're not out any money. So I do know that from my very first meeting as a county commissioner, when we declared an emergency, that very first meeting, it took a long time, but we weren't reimbursed for not all of it, but a lot of it. So I'm hoping that we too indeed get reimbursed for this if we do indeed get spend some of these dollars for some of these needs that we talked about earlier in the motions and the resolution. Tuesday, when I was in Salem, it was a discussion with the Oregon Transportation Commission, two members of the Transportation Commission. It was called the Chairs and Modal Act meeting. And on Monday, I was also at the OTC meeting, the Oregon Transportation Commission, they were discussing a number of things. And so in my testimony, it was directed at a system that they are basically making improvements to. I'll say improvements because I think that's the intent. And it's really about how local governments really message, essentially, that's how I see it, how local message to the OTC and set our priorities. And the way it's currently constructed, it hasn't really been that, there hasn't really been a direct line of communication. So they rely heavily on the Region 1 Act. And they're going to rely on all the acts. So for us, it's the Region 1 Act. And the Region 1 Act is Hood River County, most of Washington County, all of Clackamas, and all of Multnomah County. And we're pretty diverse. There's over 30 some odd cities, maybe 40 cities in the Region 1 Act, more cities and more population than the rest of than any other act in the state. So in this new model, it's going to be imperative that the region really communicate really well and direct and funnel all that input to the Region 1 Act membership or the Region 1 Act, and then it's conveyed to the OTC. And right now, that linkage is kind of broken, and it's JPAC, or it's Metro, or it's the county itself, or the cities themselves doing all their messaging. So there's this whole potpourri of advocacy, and ideally, when it comes to structure and prioritization and setting a vision and making sure that the state's needs are met, our input's going to be really valuable. So we're paying a lot of attention to this, and so I gave some testimony and talked to some of the members of the OTC both Monday and Tuesday, trying to get those aligned. So, and maybe improving the system we have. So that's what I was doing Monday and Tuesday. So I'm sorry I missed the meeting, or most of the meeting on Tuesday. We had a great discussion today regarding those in need, seniors, kids, so forth. Nutrition always is top of mind, and along that line, had a discussion about senior centers and also about community centers and how that's networked. So part of that work is realizing that a lot of seniors don't have access to transportation and sometimes rely on shuttles. So I want to thank my colleagues for sending that letter to TriMet, emphasizing the shuttles. Thank you. Thank you. I wasn't here. You have my support for that. I appreciate that. So that's just a little bit of an update. We've had a long meeting thus far, but I just want to say, hey, happy Halloween out there. I know that I remember my kids and my wife getting really excited about taking the kids out, and a lot of new moms and kids maybe are going out Halloween for the first time ever, as well as some of us more seasoned folks that have done Halloween before. But be safe out there, be careful, and have fun. Chair, back to you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Helm.
How about Commissioner?
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner West, sorry. Skipped over, I'm sorry. Thanks for the correction.
Yeah, I do want to say I say this a lot now, that I've never been on a public board or any board where I like working with my colleagues as much as I do. Everybody thinks in politics we're supposed to be at each other's throats the whole time, but I mean, we have our rough spots, right? But we work really well together. There's so much, it's like synergy and positive collaboration and the exchange of really good ideas back and forth. There is good hearts up on this dais trying to just do public service, and we're woefully imperfect people doing it, but we're trying to do the best we can. And watching how we just delivered and led and didn't wait on this crisis, and we understood what our neighbors were going to go through. I'm like super proud to do this work with you guys. And I've never said that from a dais before, but I really mean it. Every one of you, this board works well, and I hope we get to do a lot of work for a long period of time together. We have really big, ambitious, bold things coming forward that we're trying to tackle around the recovery space, issues around public safety, workforce business development, where people still know that Clackamas County is open for business, and we're here to help you be successful, if small, medium, and large businesses. We're trying to do the studies, find the lands necessary. We have a diverse skill set on this board that brings all kinds of different, from a former sheriff to a engineer, businessman, auto guy, small business owner, former mayor, Martha Schreier working on the farms in Canby, and doing years and years of good work in this county. It's just really exciting, and so I'm proud of what we were able to do today. I apologize I had to leave the meeting yesterday, and I want to be careful with my words because I've, newer to the board, and this park issue, the Bay Park issue, it goes way before me. I see Commissioner Holmes like, yep, it goes way before us. And there's a lot of history there, and it's very complicated. It's very nuanced. I am glad that Commissioner Savas and even Mayor Beatty is at that table because they bring so much history that is necessary on a complex local issue like that. But I do want to make it clear that this board is not trying to do anything but find solutions and resolution to this. As directors of the North Clackamas Parks District, we are under the understanding, under our legal counsel, that under contract negotiations, that this is completely appropriate to be done in executive session. Under the advisement of staff and our attorneys, we have asked that question. We have looked at that issue carefully, and we believe that these negotiations should be done in private in a professional manner. We have operated in that way. You have not seen us jump onto social media. You have not seen us run to the papers and kind of control a narrative or throw bombs from a dais. We have been very careful because when you're in contract negotiations dealing with public money and in the public situation and you're in executive session, there are certain expectations that should be held to, and they are standard that we must be beholden to. And I hope that we can get back to that type of expectation and professional behavior. I think that should be the expectation of the public. I know that that necessarily has not been the behavior, but it should be the expectation moving forward. I don't know if am I correct, Scott, that these are negotiations that have that should be in an executive session, that we are correct in our assessment of that?
Certainly, this board is able to obtain legal advice from counsel in executive session and to discuss things that are reasonably may be anticipated to lead to litigation. So those would both be sufficient legal justifications for executive session.
There is active litigation on this issue right now in the appellate court. There are issues around contracts that are being looked at. That's why we're doing these things in an executive session. That's why this body is choosing to do that and is under advice of counsel to do so. But I love what Commissioner Schrader said, because I know she walked up to the forest and she's like, I want your Beatles sign. It matches my bee sign in my office, and she wants to frame it and put it next to her bee sign. But that park was packed full of kids. And Commissioner Helm was there, and it was like, I thought we were gonna get run over a couple times. I mean, and it was awesome, right?
Loud.
And nobody, and that's what it's about for us. And, we were looking at ash trees and seeing how they were, how they could be managed. One thing that I learned is that this is one of the most invasive species that the United States has ever faced, probably since the American elm had its blight, and there's very few of those left. And it has a 99.9% fatality rate. Did I get that right? It's real high, the mortality rate if the beetles get in, and it's hard to detect. And they are here in Clackamas County now. And but we can vaccinate the trees or treat the trees. It's not cheap, but we can do it in bulk in an effective way. You do it every single 2 years. We're talking about creative ideas about adopt a tree, working with friends of trees, all hands on deck. The ash is an important hardy species, but you have to treat it for a long period of time, because if it's a healthy tree, they can live 250 years. And they're, they sometimes are overshadowed by the beautiful white Oregon oak, but they're also important and beautiful in their own right. It's a little bit of a Charlie Brown vibe to some of them, but that's what the ash does, we've learned. And so that was exciting to learn yesterday. And so we want to make sure that we have the money, the resources necessary that are equitably and fairly distributed, and we're being good, we are making decisions that are in the public's interest, and that we are good stewards of every public dollar, regardless if you live in Milwaukee city limits or if you don't. I will say this, I was shocked that the city of Milwaukee was shocked by the last letter we gave them, based on the communications that were happening. We were operating in good faith under the confines of executive session and how you should operate when you're in negotiations and keeping those things in good faith. So we were shocked that they were shocked, because things that were said definitely led us to believe that that was a pathway that they were desiring. We didn't just invent the separation idea. It didn't just come out of thin air like, let's see what we can do to the Milwaukee city. It wasn't like that. There's nothing like that. It was like, where can we amicably get together to find a way that works for everybody and be supportive to it, that also makes sure that we're protecting everyone's investment? If you think it's super nefarious and a big scandal and conspiracy, it probably isn't. It's a park. It's probably not that. It's probably not that wicked and icky, and we're just probably neighbors trying to figure this out together. But we were led to believe that that's the direction that we should go next in the negotiation, and we've made a lot of different proposals. So to be continued, we'll continue to work on it. The discourse and the dialogue must continue to happen. We're committed to that. But you won't see this board posting on Facebook, social media, Nextdoor, Twitter, or X on this issue. You won't see us throwing bombs from the dais. You will see us to continue to operate professionally, as you should, in an actual negotiation. And we won't try to spin up everybody to pit one another against neighbor. We won't be doing that here in Clackamas. Other entities can choose to operate how they choose, but we'll continue to operate the way we are expected to, and in good faith. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one more note on the emerald ash borer, as we got to see this beautiful little insect yesterday.
Deadly le femme fatale.
Yes, that goes unseen, 75%. It's behind the bark, and it's really when the tree is near dead that it will ruin the tree, rot the tree, and then it will be a hazard. So I was asking the tour director, if we have on our own private property, who should we contact? Cities know about this, so if you live within a city, contact your city and find out what is available in order to take care of it, or if there are any services, if you're unincorporated, to contact the Soil and Water Conservation District, and there might be some people that can come out and help you look, and they're not hard to find, but they're so damaging. And my biggest concern is the riparian corridors and how this is going to affect our ecology in the riparian corridors, because there are so many ash lining the riparian corridors in our county. So anyway, I didn't know a lot about it. I know a lot about it now, but I need to do a little more research on it. So fascinating tour. We also toured the Rivers of Life area yesterday. Is that what you call that? Up at Eagles Landing. Jerry Herman was very kind, and we had some salmon that was just baked over the fire. We learned a lot about what Rivers of Life does. I encourage you to go online. It is to help troubled youth in our community, and there's a lot of environmental learning to be done, and how we can marry the development community with the environment, and how the environment is an amenity. And I love the way Jerry put this, is that they used to fight with each other, and now they've learned how it's a business plan. It's a business model that can work for a lot of developers. So thank you, Jerry. It was a great tour. I really enjoyed it. And thank you for the salmon and the wildflower seeds. We got to sprinkle wildflowers. We had a little shake and rake session with us shaking them, and then the people going behind us and raking in the wildflower seeds and some of their newly landscaped areas. Tuesday, I attended the Oregon City Business Alliance Forum, Building a Stronger Workforce. This was put on by Clackamas Community College. Workforce development, I learned a lot about this as well. They have a rapid response program for businesses that are closing or doing mass layoffs. And this is also, they can help the people who are about to be laid off or have been laid off, or prevent the business from closing or doing the layoffs altogether. So they have a lot of different programs in place. They work with both employers and employees. They have a customized training and development program. They have a lot of different machinists, plumbers, electrical, construction, a lot of trade programs available. So anyway, look into that. Clackamas Community College does a lot of great things for our community, and they have a lot of resources available. I'm not going to talk about the NCPRD board meeting last night. Again, I'm too new to this, and I have been trying to build bridges, and I think this goes back further than Commissioner West and I can, maybe have an effect on, but I do hope that we can come to a resolution. I understand their vision for the park. I think it's a fabulous vision. I just wish we had the money sitting in a pot available to write a big check and, have it taken care of, but that is simply not the case. And lastly, this morning I had a meeting with the executive director of Community Warehouse, another program I did not know about, and also, in addition, so Anna Kernizki, sorry, Anna, if I'm doing that wrong, is the executive director of Community Warehouse, and then Tara from the Watershed Cafe was there as well. She serves on this board. So we have food banks, right? And this is a furniture bank. So as we rehouse people, this is a great place for people to go and pick out their furniture to put in their new home. Unfortunately, this is not a program that communities support. They consider furniture a luxury. We live in the United States of America, and I don't think a bed should be a luxury. So I encourage people to go online and learn about this. It's called Community Warehouse. They have 3 locations. They do pickups. We'll share a little more information. She actually sent me an email during the meeting this morning. So they have, you can schedule a pickup. There's an article recently in the Oregonian about them. If instead of Facebook Marketplace, where you're going to make $20-50 on an item, let's be generous and maybe give that to someone who can put it in their new home. And as we rehouse people, I think this is a fabulous opportunity for us to help. And I'm excited because I have quite a few things I can give them. And they have a list of the things you can donate, and just a fabulous community program that I think is going to be, and there's a lot of information on it that they can give us. I just want to give a little quick welcome and shout out to Eric Brill, who's the new Parks, with NCPRD, he's the new Parks and Facilities Maintenance Director. We got to meet him yesterday as well. So welcome, Eric. It's going to be fabulous to work with you. So that's a chair. You'll back to you.
Hey, thank you. I might get a copy of that.
Yeah.
That looks fantastic. Just a couple quick comments. First and foremost, I want to make sure we thank the governor for stepping up in this time of emergency. I want to thank my colleagues for, just as kind of Ben echoed, really all of us coming together. I want to thank Ben in particular for all the research and information he brought forward on that. So Ben, thank you for your leadership in that. And we actually, all of us were able to move quickly, which is very exciting. So again, thanks to Governor Tina Kotek for stepping up to address that issue. I don't always get the chance to thank council. I want to thank Scott Seco for his years of service here, and just appreciate all the work that you do. So I want to take a moment and thank you for that. I'm not going to go into detail about North Clackamas Parks and Rec District. I think my colleagues have kind of covered that. I do want to say this, though. I want to recognize that Kia Sully is the director and is an amazing lady that is very brilliant, works diligently, and we're lucky to have her in Clackamas County, so a shout out to her. I also want to give a recognition to the Milwaukee Community Center Foundation. As we all know, we're struggling with finances for the Milwaukee Community Center. They are raising a tremendous amount of money, another just amazing cause. So thank you to all those individuals that are working so hard to raise funds for such an important service. And I want to remind folks that November 5th at 5 p.m. at the Gregory Forum, so that's this next Wednesday, is the State of the County address, and we're asking folks to bring food. We're going to have containers there for folks to contribute to help meet this food shortage, so all of us remember to bring food, and look forward to seeing you there if you're able to make that. And the next quick thing I wanted to recognize, and a number of my colleagues, we were able to visit Airstream. So I just wanted to talk quickly, that was last week, just a few facts about Airstream and how we're really lucky to have this company in Clackamas County. So the Airstream company started, believe it or not, in Baker City, Oregon in 1929 when Wally Bynum constructed a tent on top of a Model T chassis. So, I mean, that's how long this goes back. The Airstream's first factory was opened in Culver City, California in 1931. Local Airstream Adventures, which is located in Clackamas Industrial, is the largest Airstream dealer in the Pacific Northwest. It's housed in the same facility Ultimate Airstream is, one of the only factory authorized Airstream customized dealer groups nationwide. And all of us saw people travel from across the United States to bring their Airstreams to get upgrades and modifications. And we saw license plates all over the United States. Airstream Adventures and Ultimate Airstreams have an impressive indoor showroom. It was shocking to all of us how huge it was. They have 60 skilled workers who specialize in everything from sales, custom builds, repairs, upgrades. And if you're interested in an RV, the RV lifestyle, I encourage you to stop by and take a look at them. They're down off of Evelyn and Clackamas. And one last comment, and I want to recognize somebody who I had the opportunity to work with for years and was just an incredible employee for Clackamas County, and her loss was really a shock to all of us, and that was Cheryl Bledsoe. On October 13th, my personal longtime friend and colleague, who was the CCOM director, Cheryl Bledsoe, passed away unexpectedly. And I know the county administrator had said a few words about her a while back, but I wasn't here that day, and I just wanted to say what a wonderful lady Cheryl was. Cheryl had several positions at the county. She was in our juvenile department back in the 90s, and I worked with her a lot in emergency management back in the 2000s. She started at CCOM in June of 2014, quickly promoted to the director in 2018, and Cheryl made service and care for the staff her main priority for CCOM. And she made people feel seen, heard. She improved the service level. She was incredible at data and budgeting and information that helped us make better decisions on service delivery. And I just know she's going to be incredibly missed. And my thoughts and prayers are with her and her family. So. And the staff at CCOM. So wanted to just take a moment and say how much I appreciated her years of work. So that is all I have to say today. So on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners, I want to thank everyone for joining us, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.